Welcome back to beautiful Queensland here in Australia. Today's video is on the iKamper. Okay, does it look different? Have you noticed anything different? Up here, down in Australia at the moment, we're going through our summer and we're actually going through some record-breaking hot temperatures. Temperatures in excess of 40 degrees, which I believe is something like 120 Fahrenheit for use in America, United States. So one of the options for the iKamper is what they call an airflow tent. Now what's an airflow tent? Well, here's one right here. That's the airflow tent. Now presumably it's to cater for the hot climates. Well, one good feature with the iKamper is they're relatively easy to remove the tent material, including the fly. It's mostly, they've got like these little rails in their channels like you see in your caravans, etc., for the awnings, etc. And not just that, parts of it's also zipped on. So basically there's a part that's zipped on and then there's the parts where the rails. So most of the rails we tend to find along this bottom part, along the floor here. Okay, so all this section here is all slid in by little rails, and on the back part, the back wall, it's zipped on. There's a little bit of fabric there that's also attached by rails, I believe, and then it's got the little bit of material and then it zips onto that. So it's relatively easy. Now if you haven't seen it done before, it can be quite tricky to do. So it did take me time when I removed that. But now that I've figured it out, I could get it done in probably a quarter of the time of what it took me to change these overs. So I've had an opportunity to try one of these out. So I wanted to set this up and take some photos and also, because I did some research and there's very little info out there on this tent, this mesh tent. Very little info. I don't think there is a YouTube video out there that I could find that shows this. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to show you guys one of these and what I think of it. And it's only been up for a few days, but like I said, we're going through some really extreme hot weather. So it's given me an opportunity to compare this mesh tent with the standard ones that's included with your iKamper when you purchase. It's got the two windows on the side. That's the mesh part of the tent. So it's predominantly mostly mesh. So it's still got a bit of the poly cotton canvas, but it only goes about a foot up. The rest of it is all mesh. So you can see there. Now it doesn't have any side windows. Now I don't know if you'd call that, would you call that an advantage or a disadvantage? Now let's go back to the original iKamper tent that you would have received with your iKamper when you purchased it. It's got the two side windows. Now the two side windows has got a lot of advantages. Okay, first thing, it's got a mesh. It's also got a clear window, and it's got like a type of fly cover that you can zip closed on the side. And if you're lucky enough to got one of the latest versions, the 2.0 version of these iKampers, it's also what we call a porch mode, the window. So it's got a couple of bars, additional bars that come with your iKamper, and with those bars you can then set your window so it's out like a porch. So it's like a porch mode out like that. And you can leave it set up like that, because if you've got a wild storm come through, you've got that clear window. But there's one big advantage I find with it, and not many tents have this advantage, is the mozzie screen on it, the mosquito-proof screen. You can fully unzip on the window. Now in these hot climates up here where we are in Queensland, where it's really humid, humidity is a big thing. Heat, yes, but the humidity, you match that with the humidity. It's really critical. You got a nice airflow going through your tent. Now the problem with majority of the tents that are sold, including rooftop tents, you cannot undo those fly screens. They're permanent fixture, which means it limits the breeze that's going through. You'd be surprised how much heat and how much the breeze these mosquito-proof fly screens, such as what's on this mesh tent, can stop the wind and hold the heat. Now I've had my original tent out in hotter weather than this, and as soon as you open those two side windows and unzip, and you got this nice breeze going right through, because you think about it, it's got the two side windows they can fully unzip, including the mesh. It's got that huge front door, similar size to what you see here. Again, you can unzip the mesh as well, and it's also got the like a Skycamp. Why they call it Skycamp? It's got like a what do you call, like you have on a sky roof. It's got like a sky roof on the top. The original iKamper tent, you can fully unzip that, but the fly has got a clear like a vinyl over it, so you can actually see right through it. And at night time, even when it's raining, because it's got the vinyl on it, it's quite waterproof. But there's a zip on the top as well that you can undo, and that actually helps to get the heat out. Now I'm not saying this doesn't have it. This has got that zip on the top. So on the top of this, now I'll bring the camera up there soon and I'll show you what it looks like inside. But on the top, it's also got the zip where you can undo. But then it's also got this fly. If you take notice, this fly is a lot larger than the traditional ones that come with your iKamper. There's no windows, you can't really open it up on the side. Now even though it's got mesh from about a foot up, so from about here up, higher on the top, all that is mesh, okay? But the problem, like I said before, being a mosquito-proof mesh, it's like a windbreak and it traps the heat. True, you can open this door, okay? You can open that up, fully open that, and open your internal one. So as long as you got the wind, you face that to the wind, and the wind is blown into that, you should be able to get a sufficient circulation of wind, and it won't be so bad. But the wind changes direction on a regular basis here. It could be a northerly 1 second, and then it's a northeasterly, and then it's a southeasterly, and so on. So the wind changes in all types of directions. So as soon as your wind changes, then what do you got to do? Break camp and then relocate that vehicle to another spot. So whereas with the original, you just open those side two windows. So you think about it, you got like 4 openings. You got the top, you got the 2, and you got the 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Whereas this one, you're limited to the 2. So I think that's really lacking, really lacking. Now there are some straps, if you can see here on the side, where you can pull these out. But honestly, that's about all they come out. They only come out that far. So I think that's a big disadvantage. I've been testing it out in my backyard for the past few days off and on. Occasionally I'll come out, set it up, check it, see what the temps are and so on. And it is a lot hotter inside that than it is inside the original iKamper, because it's got those 2 additional side windows that I can fully open. Now if I make sure that this is facing towards the wind, but that's not how we normally set these iKampers up. We normally set these iKampers up with that hard shell facing towards the breeze. I know I do, because then it stops all the flapping. All this can start flapping at night time. You hear all that. You've got all those noises. What if you've got solar panels? And many years are starting to install solar panels on the top of your hardtops on your iKampers. You're limited to where the angles you can do. Basically the ideal when you've got solar panels, and if you don't want to keep changing, moving camp around each day, you want that to face in a northerly direction to maximise the use of the solar panel throughout your day. So it's not really an option. Now if you're someone that only goes in your iKamper, you know, at night, and you don't want to go in there during the day, you know, at night time, this is probably fine, but still I still think my original iKamper tent would be a lot cooler than that on those hot humid nights because of the breeze that's blowing through. Would I buy one for those reasons? Probably not, no. But there is one reason I would get one, particularly for those in very high UV climate. It does have one major advantage: to protect your iKamper. What am I talking about? The original. As I mentioned, the fly on the original doesn't cover as much of your inner tent as what this one does. So this will have, I think this would have an advantage in lasting longer and you're in a very high UV climate. And also think this would have an advantage using in our Queensland winter. This actually wouldn't be a bad option in our Queensland winter, depending where you are, particularly if you're up in North Queensland, about Rocky further north, where the winters are quite mild. You can these would work quite well. I think in that sort of climate it would work really well. But then you lose that advantage of having those 2 side windows. You just open up and look outside. It'd be pissing down raining. You can have your clear window on the top. So that's still my proof. But I think this here will outlast the original because of how well protected it is from the sun, that fly. Okay. Now the reason I say that, I've had my iKamper for a year now, and one thing I noticed when I took it down the other day and I moved it here in my back patio awning in my backyard in the shade, I noticed just how much it's faded. The polycotton is actually faded just from the UV, how much it's faded, where this wasn't covering it, which was basically nearly the whole side. I could show you some photos, which I might just pop up here, right there if I can, on the difference it is. And I wouldn't class my iKampers had a lot of use. So would I buy one for that reason? Yes, I would. I would. Definitely. But is it my choice, my preference of the tents? No. I much prefer the other one. So now, a good mate of mine has given me an opportunity to try this out. It's brand new and it is up for sale, but I'm considering buying this myself. Now I do have one of those little Sirocco fans and I'll see how much of a difference, if it helps much in there. I know with the original I don't need to use the Sirocco fan as long as there's a bit of a breeze about, and there's not once have I ever had to fit that Sirocco fan with that original because I've always found that it kept it cool inside. But I guarantee you, if I crawl up there now, you wouldn't be able to lay up there for very long. And it's the same, if I close the side windows, even just the mesh side windows, the fly screen, it'll be the same as what that is. So let's grab the camera and we'll show you what it looks like inside. So welcome inside my iKamper. Now hopefully that's clear there. So you can see how majority of it, all the top part of the mesh tent is mesh, apart from that bit that's about approximately a foot high, that's your poly cotton. Up the top there is where the sunroof is, but doesn't have, okay, so the mesh tent doesn't have any of the clear windows, any of the clear vinyl anywhere that can be seen. So this is the doorway. So the door is exactly the same. It's got that bottom part that's approximately a foot high of your poly cotton, and the rest is a mosquito-proof mesh. Now just standing here, I can feel the heat that's coming from inside there. I wouldn't like to crawl in there right now. But I'm going to try experimentation actually. While I've got you guys here and I've got the camera up here, let's see it if I add in a fan. I'm sure a fan's going to make a dramatic difference, and it might be all you need. Let's see it by adding a fan, if it helps to cool this down, particularly the Sirocco fans. So this is the Sirocco fan. Now this particular fan, I've done some modifications on this one so I can mount on the bars that's inside my iKamper, such as the bar that's in the far corner, that one there, and the one, the crossover bar that folds over when you pull your iKamper out. So you can see it's got these C-clamps here, so they just clamp in on the bar. Okay, so I don't know if you can hear that, but that's on the fastest speed. Alright, now I am feeling some breeze from there, so I've only just turned it on, so let's just wait till it blows some of the hot air out. It is quite hot in here. This will give you a good chance to have a good look to see the construction of the tent. And you can see that top on there, that you can undo that. Now I could undo that and it might help to cool it down. It's cooled down just a tad in here, and that's only because of the there's a cloud cover. So a bit of cloud cover has just come through, which is, thank God for that. So it's not too bad, but I know with this nice breeze that we got blowing right now, that if I had those two side windows on the side, or at least even, now this is another thing that's a possibility you could do. Is there any reason why you can't take this to someone who makes tents, or anyone does modifications to the tent, and add a zipper to the two sides so that you can undo the zipper and roll it up? Now I don't know how well that would work for the structure of the tent, whether it's going to make it stronger. Could that be a reason why iKamper choose not to put windows on the side? I don't know. I mean, I think if you laid in here now and directed that fan directly at yourself, it's going to be a little bit more bearable. But I'm starting to sweat inside here now. So, and it's quite a nice breeze blowing as well, and there's nothing, I'm not feeling any breeze coming through here apart from that little bit of a breeze from the Sirocco fan. Another option of where you can install this fan with those C-clips. So all they are, just went to a hardware store and purchased a couple of C-clips and just screwed them in at the base. And those C-clips, you can also use them on your tent poles outside. that's probably a better spot, because I think what that's doing now is assisting on blowing some of this hot air out and assisting on getting some cooler circulated air through here. I've had that running for a little while now, and it's still a bit too hot too. I'm dripping in sweat here right now, guys, and it's still pretty hot in here at the moment. Oh, I had to get a drink to cool off a bit when I got out. Now, to be honest, I never had that problem with the original iKamper. So it's a shame, guys, if anyone's from iKamper watching, it's a shame you didn't put a couple of additional windows on the side. So I'm still deciding whether I'm going to buy this off me mate. I've got an opportunity to pick it up at a good price. So I'm going to talk to him about it, and if he's happy with me buying it off him, then I'm going to snatch it up. Because I'm going to use it just as a backup, as a spare. I mean, particularly if I'm buying it, next time I go camping, I'll leave it on here and I'll try it out, because it'll be at the beach. So at the beach it might be fine, you got a nice cooler sea breeze. So it might work for that. But in the meantime, it's given me an opportunity to look into the original tent, the iKamper tent with the mesh. I've got to check to see, it's quite a fair bit of yellowing. I didn't notice how much yellow in the clear, particularly the clear vinyl top is. So I picked up some products that I'm going to use to clean that. And I might look at some additional UV products. Here in Australia, you can buy some UV products where you just brush on or spray on. So I might look into doing that as well to help prolong the life of the original iKamper tent and to stop it from fading any further than it has. If you watched all the way to this part, thanks for watching. So we'll basically just recap this video now. So I'm going to leave that up a bit longer. So I've got the fan running, although it's probably not ideal now. It's gone overcast. It's a bit cooler now. So what I might do is just pack that away. I need to go drop down to the post office soon, so I might pack that away. I'll let you know what my outcome is. Now, I'll talk to the person I got this from, and I'll see if if we can work out a deal. I could purchase this off him, and if so, I'm going to look into adding the zipped windows on the side. I don't think it'll take much at all to put them in. And I think if you do that, that thing's going to be magic. Really will. That'll be magic. Now, I'm not talking about the fly. I think the fly is fine as it is. I think particularly where I showed you, it's got those little tie-off points on the side. I think if you grab a couple of ropes and just tie them out so they're spread out a bit, and then you've got that like a window, a zip that you can open on that mesh on the side. You open that up, that's going to allow sufficient airflow to keep it relatively a lot cooler inside there. So if I end up purchasing this, that's definitely something I'm going to look into. So I mean, if I purchase it, there'll be future videos on this. Now it is a long video, but I thought this is something to spend a bit more time on, because there's just nothing, there's very little information out there on this. I tried searching for a YouTube video on this particular mesh tent and I couldn't find anything. So I don't know, maybe I didn't look hard enough or not. So I thought, while I've got this here, this might be a good opportunity to actually have a look at one of these, set it up and see what I think in just this morning. It's only been a couple of days, but it's perfect weather. It's perfect weather to check it here, because we're going through just about a record-breaking heat spell here. As I mentioned, a lot of areas are in the 100 Fahrenheit plus, and I believe 40, some places are up to 45 degrees Celsius, and I think that's 120 F. I'm not too sure. I don't know. It's just something I read online that's someone claimed it's 120 F thereabouts at 40 degrees Celsius. So I won't go on too much longer. So those who watched all the way to the end, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And if you like this video, please put a like. And please comment below if you've got any questions you want to know about this. If you want to know anything, maybe if you're interested in purchasing it, it'll be a good price. But we'll just wait and see. I'm going to have first dibs though. I'm going to see if I can purchase it first. I wouldn't mind it myself. Otherwise, if you're interested in it, let me know. I'm located in Australia, of course, so I prefer to keep sales here in Australia, particularly something of that size. It'll be very expensive, too expensive to post overseas. It'll be a good price, but I'm taking dibs first, and I'll let you know, So, in the meantime, please subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, it'll really help me a lot if you subscribe. And till next time, take care, be kind to everyone, and cheers.